Okay, so what's up everyone, my name's Alex and this is my, I think, 12th Pygame tutorial, and today I'm just going to be continuing my explanation of classes and mostly classes in this one. And then to do that I'll just write out the first half of the code while I'm doing the video, and the last part of the code I'll copy and paste in, and then I'll explain it because it's very tedious because to remember I have to write down notes about the code. I've written the first half of the code and then I'll just copy and paste the last bit in because that's easier to explain. So the first thing to do is obviously import Pygame, and then is it from Pygame.locals import asterisk, just importing Pygame and the modules. Now to initialize Pygame, Pygame.init, open and close parentheses. I'll try and speak closer to the microphone. Initialize Pygame. Now I need to create a window, so I'll have window equals pygame.display.set_mode. Now you have two opening parentheses, and then the first value is the x value, so it's the value going across. So we'll have it as 440 pixels across, and then a comma. And then the next value is the y value, so it's going to be the down value. So how many pixels do I want to go down? And I'm going to have 400 pixels down, and then two closing parentheses. And then, so the first thing as well not the first thing, but the next thing to do is, for me, is to create the background. Now, since I've already got a picture, I'm just going to put background equals pygame.image.load. Now, this is to load an image into Pygame. And to be able to load the image into Pygame, you must have the picture or the image in the same directory or place of where this file is. So say if you've got this file on the desktop, all of this code in this file on the desktop, you must have the picture that you're trying to load into this file on the desktop as well, and you must name it accordingly as well. So my picture is called space, and you also need to put the file type. I'll put the microphone up closer, hopefully it's better quality. And you also need to put dots, and then you need to put the file type of the picture. So since mine's a PNG, it's going to be space.png. If it was a JPEG, it would be space.jpg. But since it's a PNG for this instance, I'll type space.png. Then a closing apostrophe, and then a closing parentheses. And then the next thing I'm going to do is load an image of an asteroid that I created. So asteroid equals pygame.image.load, same thing again. And then apostrophe asteroid.png. Now let's create some colours. So grey equals 84 red, 84 green, 84 blue. Now these are the RGB values, so it's going to be 84 on the red, 84 on the green, and 84 on the blue. So I'll have black, which is 0, 0, 0, pure emptiness. And then white equals 255, 255, 255. Now I'm going to have two values called direct1, and then instead of creating them differently, I'm just going to put them as one variable. Well, they're going to be separate variables, but they're going to have the same values. So I can put direct1 and then a comma, then direct2. Is that right? Yeah. Equals 0, 0. Now what that's setting is, it's setting direct1 to 0, and it's, oh god, and it's also setting direct2 to 0 as well. It's just an easier way. You don't have to do it like that. You can set them separately, but maybe it's just to save a quick 2 seconds. Now the next thing to do as well is create the clock. So we'll have clock equals pygame.time.capital C, then clock, then open and closing. Now what we'll do at the end of the code, we'll initialize clock with a speed, and this will most likely be how fast this sprite or class object will move. So I'll show you different instances of that at the end, hopefully. So the next thing to do is create the class. So this is just a normal class, it's not a Pygame sprite. I haven't created a Pygame sprite. So to create a class, you type in class, and I've called my class sprite. How ironic. And then there's no opening or closing parentheses, it's just a colon, and then def underscore init, which stands for initialize. Then in the parentheses you have self.x.y. Now with this, in the parentheses you type in what type of functions you want to define. You don't have to put them in there, but it's best just to initialize it just in case. Well, not just in case, but just for future references. And self, this is just what Python recognizes as a reference to an instance inside the class. And an instance is something like self.y or self.x equals x. So it's referencing x is equal to the value of x. And then you can have self.y equals y, and it's referencing self as y equals y. And then, since I haven't actually put these in the parentheses, I'm just going to set these to actual values here, just so it's easier. Self.width, self.height, because I might need to have two different sprites, and I might want to set them to different x and y values, so positioning, but I want them all to have the same width and height. So all the sprites are all going to have the same height and width, but they're not going to all have the same x and y values. And the x and y values are just the position that they're in on the Pygame screen. So equals 20. Then I'll have self.asteroid equals pygame.image.load. So just reference it again. Asteroid.png. Knowing this, I'll do all this and it won't even work. Now what I'm going to also do is reference a circle, because I like circles. So I'm going to have self.cir equals pygame.draw.circle. Now when you create a circle in Pygame, the first value inside the parentheses is the name of the surface, and the name of our surface is window. Since to create a surface in Pygame you have to type in pygame.display.set_mode. So we type in window, and I want the circle to be a grey colour. So I'm going to type in grey, because we've got grey there, and then another comma, and then an opening parentheses, and then self.x, comma, self.y, closing parentheses, then a comma, self.width, self.height. Now since we've already set self.width and self.height, it's already equal to 20 for both of them. We haven't set x and y, so we'll assign them later. Is that right? Yes, it is. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just render the sprite. So create another function with def. I'll move the microphone up a bit. There we go. Def render sprite. Self again, just a reference. Then we have, once again, we'll just draw the circle. Pygame.draw.circle. Window, grey. And then self.x, self.y. Is that it? What else is there? Self.width and self.height. And that's it. Then just render the second sprite, just to blit it. Def render second sprite, or to render the asteroid, should I say. Self window.blit. This is just to, you can go quite deep into blit, but basically all it does is it just pushes something onto the screen so the user can see it. It's you can go into like frame buffering, and frames per second, but blit just means blitted to the screen over an image. That's what it means. So we'll have the parentheses, so we'll have self.asteroid, then a comma, and then self.x/self.y, and then two closing parentheses. Now the next thing to do is set the x and y values that you want for our sprite. So all of these, or actually just the circle, will be positioned in the 100 across and 150 pixels down. So I'll have player equals sprite, like this class here, and then in here I'll have 100 across and 150 down. Now I'll pause the video now because this is halfway through the code, and the next half, oh god, 9.5 minutes, bloody hell. Bloody hell, I didn't realise it was going on for that long, so I'll try and speed it up a bit. So here we've got the gaming loop. I'll set the gaming loop to true, so while game loop is true, this will all happen. So if the user wants to exit with the for event in pygame.event.get, and event.type equals pygame.quit, then the game loop equals false, and the loop stops, and therefore all of the game stops. Now we've got if event.type equals Pygame.keyDown, so this means when the player is pressing on a key, then do something. So if the player clicks on the directional button on the keyboard on the left side, direct1 equals -5, so the player will go 5 pixels to the left. If he clicks on the right, the player goes 5 pixels to the right, and if the player clicks down, it'll go 5 pixels further to the down. Why did I say go right? That's wrong. It'll go down 5 pixels, and then with this, if the player presses up, it'll go up 5 pixels. And then you have, if event.key.up, this means if the player is not pressing on anything, then the direct1 values will equal 0 as they were initiated earlier. So basically nothing happens. If I was to set that to 1 and I wasn't pressing anything, then the sprites or user controlled object will just be moving to the left 1 pixel for some reason. Why would you want that? Random movement. So the next thing to do is fill the window with the black, but also on top of it you want to blit it to the screen, you want to blit the background to the screen that I created. Because my background wasn't big enough to fit onto the whole screen, I wanted a black background to give it a more spacious feel, because that was the game that I was aiming for initially. Now we're also going to blit 3 asteroid enemies, so we can have window.blit, and then asteroid with the picture, and then we're going to have the X and Y values of their position. Now notice how we don't have to add in the width and height of the asteroids, because we've already set that up here initially to, where is it, to 20 and 20. So all of this in here is set to a width of 20 and height of 20, and that's why we don't have to set it here in the player sprites, nor when we are blitting the asteroids. So we just have the 2 values for their position and not the 4 values for their positioning as well as their width and height, because we've already initialized that earlier. So we're going to have 1 asteroid in 30 pixels across, 50 pixels down. We're going to have 1 asteroid 200 pixels across, 100 pixels down, and we're going to have 1 asteroid and 300 pixels across and 300 pixels down. Now we're going to have player.x plus equals direct1. So we're going to have whenever the player is moving, so the x position is moving, plus the direction. This is just the way for the player to move. So you add these together, and this determines how the player and where the player will move. And player.renderSprite just renders the sprite to the screen, renders sprite, so it can be moved. And the clock tick as well, so this measures the speed of the sprite movements. As you can see, it's at 30, so that means 30 frames per second. If I was to set that to 60, you would see the sprite whiz off the screen because of how fast it's going. And Pygame.display.flip just updates the whole window and performs the same function as the Pygame.display.update. And this is just for Pygame.quit after the loop is false. So I'll show you the game, or it's not really a game, it's just, so as you can see, I'm controlling the grey one, and as you can see, there's the asteroid located at 30 pixels across, the asteroid located at 100 across, and asteroid located at 300 across. So it's just simple, just, there's no actual collision detection at the moment. This is the background, three pictures with a sprite, or just a class with movement, as you'd say. And I will put the code in the description. Sorry it's been a bit rushed, the last part. It's just because, it's 13 minutes long. I don't really want people watching my videos for like 13 minutes. It seems too long and tedious and laborious. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you've learned something. So yeah, see ya, bye.